Feminism is the worst thing that ever happened to women.
Russian women don't need feminism, they don't like it, and feminist movement will never spread in Russia.
Feminism is a scam. A few years ago, I was an angry, blue-haired feminist. I once believed that male privilege was real, and
more women are waking up to the fact that they've been lied to by feminism.
What do you think on feminism?
I don't support feminism.
Thank goodness that so many of us are waking up to the fact that modern day feminism is a literal scam.
here's why I am not a feminist, and I don't think I'll ever support the feminism movement.
Feminism today is about destroying the family unit. It's a rejection of the female self. Kindly subscribe to the channel, as it is our sole form of support. Thank you.
She gets up and she says, Patrick, this is very hard for me to say this. And let me tell you why it's very hard. I said, what's that? She says, ever since in high school, I wanted to prove to men that I can beat them. So when I graduated high school and college, I opened up my salon. We do very well. I've made millions of dollars. My people and my work that work at the salon, they do very well for themselves. I drive a nice car, I have a nice house, I have money, I have millions. I don't worry about any of that stuff. You know what decision I made last night? I said, what's that? She says, I want a husband. I no longer want to compete with men. I need them. And I'm like, what? She's saying this in front of 2,000 people with her sister sitting right next to her. Wow. And now she's getting emotional. How many 65-year-old women do we have to hear saying that I marched with the feminist movement and I bought into the fact that men are the enemy? I've never been married. I'm alone and I'm miserable and I wish I would have never bought into that philosophy.
She was competing with people who weren't even paying attention to her. I got married at 21. All the old screechy feminists cackled against me. 19 years later, I'm still married and joyful. There is an epidemic of middle-aged women getting into their Lexus wishing they had a Toyota and a toddler instead. She was competing against her insecurities, for men are not competing against women. As a 34-year-old woman, I bought into it as well, but I've been lucky enough to get married at 30 and have my first baby at 33. I'm fortunate, but also upset that I bought into it for so many years, and it affected me in many different ways. It is truly a sad thing indeed, to have been brainwashed for so long and only able to come to your senses when you're well past beyond the wall. 65 is a big age. For that woman to even get a husband now is even harder, because she's now competing with her real competitors, which are younger women. Unfortunately for most women today, they are following that same path. They're so focused on trying to get even with men rather than just being themselves. Men are not in competition with women. Only women are.
Hi, ladies. How you doing?
I want to kill you!
Oh, yeah. Take a number, honey.
Do you think feminism today is a problem? Is toxic?
Yeah. I don't think...
Why?
It's literally like a supremacist group. It is.
It's a cult.
It's
Feminism
a cult.
is just crazy. Absolutely.
It's rooted in
Whoa,
brokenness.
based. Hello? Does
All
anyone-
right,
Wait,
everybody.
somebody disagrees here, right? I mean,
Well, I don't
I
think...
agree.
wait, you agree?
Feminism is a scam. A few years ago, I was an angry, blue-haired feminist. I once believed that male privilege was real and that I was a victim of the wage gap. Now that I understand the true motives of feminism, I know that this could not be further from the truth, and that modern-day feminism is a war on true masculinity. Before women had the right to vote, most were stay-at-home wives, which meant they weren't working jobs and couldn't be taxed. Our overlords didn't like that. Rockefeller started funding feminist campaigns in media, and as a consequence of the movement, women started entering the workforce and leaving the home. Children would then be separated from their parents and sent to Rockefeller-funded schools to be indoctrinated by the state. All of this ultimately disrupting the family unit at its core. Feminism is defined as the belief in social, economic, and political equality of the sexes. But in the West, I must ask, what rights do men have that women don't? Modern feminists are convincing women that hookup culture, using hormonal birth control, and not shaving is liberation. That toxic masculinity is prevalent and the patriarchy must be dismantled dismantled. Through movies and media, we're taught that working for the man, climbing the corporate ladder, and paying tax is more empowering and valuable than raising the next generation. Women have lost touch with our natural loving instincts, and birth rates are plummeting. Men and women are not the same. And by protesting for equality of outcome rather than opportunity, feminists are demonizing and emasculating men.
Feminism is one of the biggest scams. They're indoctrinating young girls. I was even indoctrinated to think that your career is going to bring you happiness. Then you hit 40s, 50s, not married, no children, and it's heartbreaking. You're not happy. And I'm so happy and so grateful that I figured this out in my early 20s. You have some women in their 30s, 40s listening to Cardi B, dedicating their lives to their career, and they're going to be miserable. They're creating a certain lifestyle for themselves, and no man is ever going to want them. Then we start hating on men because men prefer younger women. Well, that's not really men's fault, is it? It's society's fault. Society should have told girls when they were much younger that at that age, they're going to be most desirable. But no, they were busy building their careers and building all these different things, which unfortunately they wake up one day and realize just isn't satisfying enough. And so I think it's very sad.
That is exactly correct. And that's also the reality of it that's not being talked about enough. Women chasing careers is fine if that's what they want to do. That just doesn't take priority over finding a husband. A woman's prime is 18 to 24. After that, everything starts to go down. You start becoming less visible to men. You don't get approached as much. And of course, it varies for different women. The women who took that boss babe route screaming, "I don't need men," are lonely and sad in their houses. They've been fed this feminism lie constantly, and it takes a toll on them psychologically when they start to want a family in their 40s. Because at that point, even though it's still possible to have kids, it put their health and lives at risk.
You're not actually a feminist if you hate men. If you participate in hookup culture, you think that having a sugar daddy, sex work, or the commodifying of women and their bodies is women empowerment. If you think that birth control is a one-size-fits-all for women's health, if you think that life ends when a woman has a child, if you think that men and women are exactly the same, if you support body positivity, which encourages the acceptance of an unhealthy body, if you think people like Lizzo, Cardi B, the Kardashians, Kylie Jenner actually empower women, toxic feminism is perpetuated by design.
If you participate in hookup culture, real feminists don't judge other women for what they do with their bodies. The definition of a feminist is someone who believes equal rights for men and women. That is not what a feminist typically is in America, though. You're not a feminist if you're just gonna criticize other women. You're saying everything I've been afraid to say, growing up in my extremely liberal feminist community. Thank you. You clearly are not a feminist if you think you alone can judge what a feminist is. It's sad to see that y'all still love to judge women. As you can see, even though this woman is speaking the truth, the women in her comments weren't too happy about it. They only consider you a feminist when you agree to go along with whatever they're doing, and if you're against it, they treat you like a traitor. As in, you're not allowed to hold them accountable for their actions and just allow them roam around and do whatever they want. This isn't another issue. Somehow women have convinced themselves that getting smashed and passed around is empowering. I've always been asking the question, how is it empowering for you to sleep around with different men? What power do you experience exactly when you're having different people going in and out of you and walking out of your life the next day?
The whole feminist movement, number one, all a scam. Chalk it up right with the BLM and right with the Pride. It's all a scam. It's all a created scam to divide us. It's all a created scam to destroy the family. It's a part of the problem. They're going to destroy the middle class. It's how they install the system.
Why feminism is bad for women too. Quotes from feminists. The nuclear family must be destroyed, whatever its ultimate meaning. The breakup of families now is an objectively revolutionary process. No woman should have to deny herself of any opportunities because of her special responsibility to her children. And Vivian Gornick, another feminist, states, being a housewife is an illegitimate profession. So to all the women and my friends who are housewives and raising their children, not only do we have to deal with the patriarchy, now you get shamed by other women too for raising our future civilization. Seems like a pretty legitimate profession to me.
Feminism was created as a distraction to break up the family. Feminism destroyed relationships and turned women into wanting to be men. Yeah, I'd say it's not exactly all that great for women. If feminism were only about equality, it wouldn't be bad. But it's morphed into a group banshees wailing about how awful men are. Definitely such women feel jealous and insecure when they see successful married women. They know men put them on the shelf. Feminists want not only all men, but also all women to live their lives exactly how they believe is correct, and God help anyone who wants anything else. Raising the future of humanity is most definitely an important job. I believe it's something that's severely overlooked. This book is absolutely disgusting. It goes against everything they claim to stand for. It just sounds like people trying to justify their own mistakes and issues by making it everyone's problem. Once again, feminism is a cancerous tumor feeding on society.
Not your fault.
You're right. It's not my fault. It's your fault!
Alright guys, I'm ready to light some fires. This is why I do not agree with feminism. And to clarify, I mean nuanced feminism. This topic has so much breadth that I'm just going to touch the surface with it. 1. Nuanced feminism has gone above and beyond to demonize traditional values from women. And by this, I mean traditional roles such as having children, staying at home and supporting their husbands emotionally and spiritually, and being caretakers. 2. It is now merged with extreme leftist beliefs, especially pertaining to the LGBTQRST movement, where we now have men claiming to be women, and it is widely accepted, with verbiage such as birthing people, breastfeeding people, and menstruating people. I'm sorry, but isn't telling men that they can be women the exact opposite of feminism? Men do not birth, men do not menstruate, and men do not breastfeed. 3. It has greatly degraded men and their attribute to society. Feminism is supposed to be advocating for rights for women. We now live in a day and time when they have included the entire population, including men. How does that make sense? Lastly, I'm going to say this once, so listen to me good. Men and women are not equal, biologically, spiritually, or emotionally. By pushing this equality agenda, we have deeply degraded the innate divinity that is being a woman.
I agree.
I was a feminist when feminism was about equality, about leveling the playing field, giving women an opportunity to find their rightful place, particularly in the public world, which was tremendously important and exciting when we achieved that. But what feminism today, to me, is all about advantaging women at the expense of men. And it's become very much caught up in the demonization of males and presenting them always at a disadvantage.
It honestly offends me that there is an entire ideology built on the premise that I, as a woman, require sacrifice from others simply so that I could contend with the world around me. Being a woman has never held me back. So feminism had its cute little run for 50 years, but it's time to hang it up and accept a basic reality. Men and women are different. We have different desires, different tendencies, and different responsibilities. We are not meant to be men, and we are certainly not meant to disrespect and degrade masculinity. So stop celebrating femininity as something superior to masculinity, and start celebrating both as valuable pillars to our well-being and culture.
Both men and women are pillars of this society, even though we are both different in many different ways. That's the conclusion most of us cannot come to. Feminism definitely have gone off course. It went from wanting equality to bashing men. What they fail to understand is that we are meant to complete each other and support one another.
Thank goodness that so many of us are waking up to the fact that modern day feminism is a literal scam meant to disconnect and separate and isolate women from one another. And not only from one another, but from the natural ways of living. Like, this shit literally goes against nature. Modern day feminism says that women should be out in the workforce working 40+ hour weeks while their children stay at home with a caretaker? that they immediately get put in the school system from age 5 and stay until they're 18, if not older if they go to college. And that while women have 4 phases of their cycle that give them extremely different hormone levels and energy levels, that they should be doing the exact same routine every day, every week, and every month. I'm sorry, but f that. Like, I am down for the boss babe shit. I am building 2 businesses right now. I think women should be running their own empires if that's what they want. But it can be done the feminine way.
What do you think on feminism?
I don't support feminism.
Why not?
Because I think for a woman it's very important to be with a man. First of all, human is human. And second, I was born and raised in a country where women love men. And we respect them and we want to make their life happier, easier. And we love that, you know, like we love this feeling to make our men happy. And here's a big difference between European or Muslim. I'm totally fine with that cultures, but I don't know.
Why do you think the women here are so brainwashed and they don't think like that anymore?
American ones?
Yeah.
I think because they're like too strong. And to be honest, I really think that American guys are kind of scared of them. I don't know why, because they're too much independent. Like, I can open a door, I can do this. And I'm like, okay, baby, you can, you know?
20 years married and love taking care of my family. I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, I'm realizing my only worth lately to all these videos. I pay someone to cook for my elderly father daily so I can work daybreak till nightfall because she won't. The point is that feminism is getting so out of control. It's at the point they think they are better than men and cause huge problems. Men really want a subordinate woman to give up her dreams, desires, to submit to him. They can f*** all the way off. It always amazes me when a woman gets attacked by other women in the comments when she expresses her opinion. But the women here don't think catering to a man is important because they can do everything a man can do and have all the privileges. Because of that, they've convinced themselves that they don't need men anymore. So many times where men have been bashed in public by women for approaching or even opening the door, like she mentioned. That's the kind of thinking that separates American women and women in other countries. Which is why men are going abroad. A man wants a feminine woman, not someone he has to compete with, not someone who says, I don't need men. These women also claim feminism is about quality, free choice and how they support women, but also bashes them when they disagree with their viewpoints. It's just amazing.
I think it's time somebody digs deep into our culture and into our people to figure out what is going on upstairs with our women. Divorce is on the rise more than ever among Middle Easterns, whether they live in the Middle East or abroad. And just like we saw among westernized countries like America, when the women became independent is when the family structures collapsed. They collapsed to the point where now women are waking up and saying, you know what? I want a home again. I want my kids to have a healthy home. Well, the Middle Easterns are not there. We are at the point where we are collapsing because not only are women independent asking for a divorce, but we also have culture shock. A lot of our women are extremely spoiled. Yes, I said it. A lot of our women are extremely spoiled and the men cannot keep up. What is happening with our women?
I always say men marry for love and women marry for business. Divorce is on the rise because women think they can do better, lack of commitment. They always think the grass is greener on the other side. Another thing that needs to be rewritten are marriage vows. Whenever there's a financial issue in the relationship, these women be so quick to leave. They don't marry until death anymore. They marry you until you run out of money trying to fulfill their unrealistic expectations.
I've never heard of a woman that claims she's a feminist propose to her boyfriend. Never heard of that, because that's a man's job, right? Kind of hypocritical, just like everything else with feminism.